2022. My name is Linda, and this is the For Fun of Knit podcast, a knitting and crafty fiber podcast where I share all my adventures and misadventures in knitting, some of my travel adventures too, apparently. Thank you so much. If this is your first time catching me, or maybe you just met me during Vlogmas, welcome. And for all of those of you that have been following me for a while, thank you. It's so good to see you again. And as you can see, made it to Spain safe and healthy. So thank you for all your well wishes. And what can I tell you? Look at the background. So I'm originally from Surrey, British Columbia, just about 45 minutes outside of Vancouver. Today we are in the south of Spain on the Costa del Sol, just an hour outside of Malaga. This is Patrick's and my go-to place. Would love to live here someday. It's an aspirational goal, but can you wonder why? I got palm trees in the background. But no, not for the next little while. So hopefully I can share a little bit of the Costa del Sol with you, just this area. We're not going touring, and this is not a travel vlog in any way, shape, or form. But it is about 10 o'clock, 9:30 in the morning on January the 8th. And is it January the 8th or the 9th? I have to check. I'm still confused about the dates. So this is the first vlog of 2022. And I could go on and on and on and on about all the things I'd like to talk to you about, but I think I'll break it up into some segments so it makes it a little bit more digestible. I've got a little bit of an agenda today because, like I said, I could just go off on a whole bunch of tangents, and I just thought, no, I can't do that to you. I'll try and keep it to a minimum. So what I'd like to do is tell you a little bit about the trip, because it was quite a journey to get here. And I want to reflect a little bit on 2021. I'm going to save my 2022 goals for another video, just because like I said, I could go off down a rabbit hole with you, and one step at a time. I've got an FO, yes. I've got whips, which I'd like to share with you. And then I'd like to obviously talk about what's next. So first and foremost, thank you all for all the wonderful comments on Vlogmas. I had a blast doing it. I can't believe I actually videoed almost every one of the 24 days. So certainly something I'll be planning in for next year. You know, and you like some of the stuff that you do when you look back at it. And I think, oh, I could have done much better on other things or more entertaining, but I think Vlogmas is really just supposed to be spending time together as opposed to a movie production, which I am not a professional. I never intend on being a professional videographer, but I do enjoy putting a few things together. So wait until, if you're still around at the end of 2022, then we can sort of take a look at that. But let me tell you about the trip to start. So, as you know, COVID, lovely, lovely time of the world to be traveling. Nothing was shut down. There was a travel advisory, but no one blocking you from traveling everywhere. Excuse me, if you're going to travel in uncertain times, what I would say is set your expectations. Be very clear with yourself and your partner and your family that things might take longer, people might be cranky, you need to have a plan B, so you might even need a plan C and a plan D in terms of actually getting from point A to point B. So as you know from Vlogmas, if you were watching it, our flights here got canceled and rerouted, and Patrick did all the work. I can take no credit for it. He is the world's greatest travel agent. But yeah, he had to reroute us quite a few times and work with the airlines and phone back and forth, and that in itself was quite a process. So you need to have the appetite to do that and not get yourself tied up in a knot, because it's gonna happen. It's the 8th or the 9th today. I'm unclear. It's Sunday, whatever day that is. Yesterday we got an email that our flights home have been canceled. So, okay, it's 2 months away and they've already canceled our flights home. So this morning we were on the phone with Air Canada rebooking all of that. So oh gosh darn, we're here for 3 more days. So we're not coming home until, you know, the second week of March now. Am I sad? Yes, because of my dog, but otherwise, okay with me. You definitely need to keep up to date on the COVID requirements. Patrick and I took a PCR test just in case it was not required when landing or transiting through Frankfurt, which surprised us because that's Germany, obviously. Nor was it required in Spain, a PCR test. You did have to fill out a whole bunch of paperwork on your health overall for Spain, but a PCR test wasn't required. And part of that contingency planning is knowing where the testing centers are, because if your flights get delayed en route while you're in a foreign airport, and if a PCR test is required, you need to plan for will your PCR test results expire during your travel? Very convoluted. So that's an important piece, but we were all fine. Our connections actually went like clockwork. There was no hiccups at all because Patrick made sure that there was enough lead time between each flight so that if a flight was delayed or something, that we could still make it. And it turned out perfect in that regard. Always take 2 sets of all your documents in your travel portfolio, but also in your carry-on, because you never know if you need more than 1 set. That would be a thing I would say. But the trip from a commute standpoint went like clockwork. It was 21 and a half hours door to door. And that's unusual. That is unusual for a trip to Europe to take that long. But those were the only flights available, and certainly in premium economy. And we chose to pay more for premium economy because we could have 2 seats by ourselves, not a 3rd seat and not sharing. Yes, people in front of us, yes, people behind us, but 2 seats together, and rightly or wrongly, that made us feel a little bit better. But 21 and a half hours with a shield and a mask sitting on the bridge of your nose, I have to say it was the most uncomfortable journey that I have ever taken. And I mean, that's a first world problem, absolutely. But if you are not a good traveler to start with, or you're slightly anxious, or if traveling doesn't make you feel good to start with, I would question, maybe give it another year, because it wasn't comfortable. We were dodging people left, right, and center. Most people were wearing masks as per whatever country guidelines, but there's always those few that walk right up to you in your face, no mask, walk by you, stand right next to you in line, which made Patrick and I quite nervous. So our masks were on 100% of the time, except when we were eating, which of course then you wonder, why are you wearing a mask? Because if COVID was floating around, or you had COVID, the moment you take your mask off to eat, you're spreading it around. So let's not talk logistics. Let's not talk about the logic of it all. The fact is, you need to have your mask on. I also wore a shield just because I'm paranoid. So it's already uncomfortable, and I couldn't knit. Crazy. The whole entire 21 and a half hours, I maybe got 2 hours of knitting in, maybe. I couldn't concentrate. It was just uncomfortable. So I had all these plans to have all these finished objects for you. That did not transpire. And the other thing about premium economy, and what you have to expect if you're traveling during uncertain times, is that services on board the planes and at the airports is limited. So beverage services did not exist. You got your meal, and then you did not see anybody for 7.5 hours until you got the second meal. And while that was totally fine, we were completely dehydrated. We had to actually ring the bell several times for a flight attendant to bring us an extra bottle of water, because 1 bottle of water on a 9.5 hour flight is not enough liquid. I am still dehydrated. Patrick and I must have been drinking like 5 huge jugs of water every day where we're just dehydrated. So note to self, bring a lot of water with you. But I was able to watch some really good shows on the flight, which was kind of fun. A new to me program, and this is my shtick. I am kind of corny that way. I love murder mystery, like Murdoch mysteries. This one was called Miss Scarlet and the Duke, which is only available on PBS, I guess. And it's just cute. It's just a cute period piece where this Miss Scarlet her father is a private investigator, and he passes away mysteriously, and she has no money, so she has to pick up the business. But in the 1800s, I think it's mid 1800s, women cannot be private investigators. So it's corny, but it's good. It was total brain candy for me. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And what do they call it? What do they call it if you have a secret indulgence? I can't remember what it is. Dwayne Johnson. I love Dwayne Johnson. He can do no wrong in my eyes. I don't know what it is about him. I think he's funny. He's such a big guy, but he's just so gentle that I love Dwayne Johnson. So, and I love all of his movies. I loved all the Fast and Furious because of Dwayne Johnson. I've loved everything he's done, and he just released, or I don't think it's new anymore, but Jungle Cruise. Corny, Disney, loved it, every moment of it. So I got to watch that on the plane too, because that's not a Patrick-y kind of thing. But it was definitely Linda, so I thoroughly enjoyed that. So that was kind of the trip. The trip took, so 21 and a half hours. You've got to be at the airport 3 hours beforehand in Vancouver, and then we flew 9.5 hours to Frankfurt, yay. 2.5 hour layover in Frankfurt, 2 hour layover in Frankfurt, 2.5 hour flight from Frankfurt to Malaga, an hour to get our rental car, and then an hour drive to our house that we're in. And I think I showed a little snippet of a video just giving you a little bit of a glimpse at it. What I would say is it's a beautiful property. The view is amazing. It just shows you that in Canada, Canada is an expensive country in which to live. You don't get a lot for your dollar compared to other places in the world. And so this place is, in my view, luxury, and yet it's not a luxury price tag. It's not a luxury price tag to purchase one, and it's not a luxury price tag to stay here. So if you are ever thinking about traveling internationally, keep that in mind. There are a lot of beautiful places to be that are a lot less expensive to vacation than the United States or Canada. So just thought I'd put that out there. So we're paying less for this than you probably think we are. But so that is the trip. All the people were wonderful. We've been to a couple of restaurants that we go to. Same wait staff is still there, and that's because in Spain, the service industry is salaried. You are a full-time employee with benefits and a retirement plan. Nobody tips here. You don't leave tips. You can tip if it's exceptional, but it is not the norm. They are happy to come to work. That is their job. That is their profession. They get promoted within the service industry from junior table, bus person to level 1 waiter to level 2 waiter. Or service staff. So it's definitely different than in Canada. But yeah, so that's a little bit about the travel. I will leave it at that and just get into the knitting. I am going to do 2 other videos. I'm going to do a short video. It might be a short on Instagram or a video on how I prepare for travel with my knitting and what I take with me and what I consider when I'm traveling with my knitting. It's been done before. It's not a new topic, but hey, you might be interested in that. So I thought I would take about 15 minutes to explain all of that in a video. And when I get to WIPs, I'll talk to you about another video that I'm going to do. But let's talk about my one and only finished object. Oh, what am I wearing? My ranunculus. You will recognize this. FYI, it travels very well. So it didn't even wrinkle out of the suitcase. So this is the Sidar bamboo cotton. It's 50% cotton, 50% bamboo. short sleeve ranunculus, and it's not wrinkled at all. It drapes perfectly, and it's perfect for this weather, so I'm so glad I brought it. Now, finished objects. Okay, so I have not woven in the final ends on these, but ta-da! I have my Into the Woods socks, Advent socks from the Bakery Bears, Kay Jones from the Bakery Bears. I love these. Can you see? I don't know if you can see how squishy these are. So this was really fun. I am a Patreon supporter of the Bakery Bears, and just because I think they do such a good job on their videos. They're very entertaining, and they include just enough other stuff, like cooking and whatever. And I love Dan's walks through the dales and the moors. I just find that very relaxing to knit by, and I love Kay does a series on dyeing yarn. One day I'd like to try and dye my own yarn, just for me, just for the fun of it. So it's fun to watch that. And then Kay's also a very good designer. Anyway, so she designed these Advent socks, and so part of their Vlogmas was every second day you got a clue on the socks. Did I keep up? Nope, couldn't. Meant to catch up on the plane. Okay, note to self, I can't knit a pattern on a plane. That just did not work. I had some very vanilla stockinette type of knitting. I couldn't do that on the plane either. But these, I love these. These are Into the Woods. This is based on the Laura Ingalls series, Little House on the Prairie. And it's one of Kay's favorite books. And so she did two complementary colors. This is not her yarn. You could have ordered the kit, but she wanted to choose a blue and a pink, a blue for Mary and a pink for Laura. And I just pulled from stash. So this, I have no idea what either of these yarns are. Not sure about my lighting out here. Out here, everything's so green. I think everything's got a hue of green. But this is a really pretty tonal pink with lots of white flecks in it, but it is a tonal. And this is just a solid tealy blue. It's not blue, it's not green, it's teal. And I think they go well together. And if they don't, I don't really care. But the idea was that you mix and match the heels and the toes. And I only have a snippet left of either one of these. This is how much I have left. I had 50 grams, and so I still have that much, about 20 grams probably left of, maybe not 20, maybe 15 grams just by feeling it, of that one, and of the other mystery yarn. And I took it out of my sister's leftovers because she wasn't going to use it. I've got this little teeny weeny ball, which is maybe a 5-gram ball. So 5 and 15, I think. Maybe that's 20. I don't know. I'll have to see. But anyway, I save all of my scraps. I don't throw anything away. So what was so fun about this is, I hope you can see this. Can you see this cuff? I hope you can see this. This is a cuff with a little bit of a cable detail, and it's just a twisted stitch. It's lovely. And then she goes into one chapter. There's a little bit of, I don't have sock blockers with me. I didn't bring those, obviously, because I'm traveling. I will try and show you that there's this beautiful lace and then a little bit of patterned texture and then a little bit more lace. And each piece comes with a story. Which is fabulous. And then it's her heel flapping gusset heel, which I have to say, this time I didn't mind that. It's not normally my favorite type of heel. And then in the front, she's got a bit of a honeybee basket weave thing, and then she's got some zigzaggy cables, and then she's got a crisscross sort of lace pattern happening. Oh, it was just so much fun. It's like self-striping socks. When you have a different thing to do, it's very motivating and rewarding just to keep knitting on them. I did not get bored. I did them 2 at a time on magic loop with 2.5 needles. I had no problems doing them. I made so many mistakes. I seriously made so many mistakes. I can't even point them out to you. I made so many mistakes. Oh my gosh, like because I got distracted on the plane and it wasn't working properly, I was supposed to do 4 repeats of this honeybee and was this the honeybee? No, that was the honeybee up there. This was some sort of, I can't remember what stitch this was called, but I was supposed to do 4 of these and I've only got 2. And then I tried to make it up by making an extra cable here. And then this pattern right here isn't supposed to be columns. It's supposed to be offset like a basket weave. I don't know what I was thinking, but again, that's the part that I was doing on the plane and then realized I can't knit because I don't know what I'm doing. So I had to test my socks a little bit to make sure I had enough length in the pattern to finish them because I was completely off on the legs. But that is my beautiful, beautiful Into the Woods socks. And I don't know how to show them without a sock blocker. I really don't. They're just beautiful. I just absolutely love them. And I think they're so squishy and so warm, and they fit really nice. I have to say, they fit really well. So that is my one finished object. Love them, love them, love them. Now we can sorry, my camera will bounce around if I move too much. Let's talk about whips. Oh, I dove right into the knitting. Okay, so we'll talk about reflections of 2021 after the knitting. So I'll put a timestamp on here somewhere. Okay, works in progress. I did a Christmas Eve cast on. Yes, I did. And my Christmas Eve cast on is the Habitation Throw from Helen Stewart, Curious Handmade. And look at it so far. I hope you can tell the beautiful pinks and purples and every combination thereof of all pinks and purples. I'm trying to be as subtle. There's a few stronger stripes. Oh, the lighting in here. This is hard to show, but hopefully you can tell that it's pinks and purples. But I love it. I'm doing a stripe a day, and I'm just continuing with the Advent theme, a stripe a day, and I am using my minis. And it's a combination of minis. Oh, isn't that lovely? It's a combination. This is so much fun just to grab one. And I'm trying to alternate between a regular 20-gram mini and one with stellina in it. And I probably have about 10 minis, maybe 8 minis that have stellina that were from, and I'll put a picture somewhere, that were from Sweet Skein of Mine, one of her Valentine bouquets, and I can't remember what it was called, but I'll put a picture up there for you. And the other ones are just like tonals, pinks and purples, predominantly pinks and purples. There's only one outlier, which is a bit of a creamy, caramelly pink cream one, but everything else is, you know, there's a Black Cat custom yarn. Sorry, the sun is totally blowing out. Maybe I should do that. Maybe that way you can see it better. Look at those colors. Whoops, and I'm losing them already. Look at those colors. Aren't they fun? Anyway, so the Habitation Throw is what I'm working on, which uses, I think, 4mm needles. Yep, US 6s. And what can I tell you about this? Super easy knit. The stripes are getting longer and longer and longer to complete. So I haven't really thought this out too well, because when I have a stripe down here, I'm using very little of the mini. But as I go up and get longer and longer, I'm using more and more and more of the mini. And so I'm not too sure how big this is going to be or how big I want it. And I'm not sure I have enough yarn to finish it on this trip anyway. So my thought right now is to keep knitting until one mini in its entirety is used in a stripe. Right now I'm up to maybe using 2/3 of the mini, maybe half the mini. Maybe I'm up to using half the mini. When I end up using an entire mini, that's when I think I'm going to start decreasing. And then I will just start from this one again, the first color, because I have the most of this color, right? And then just go backwards. So start and just repeat all these colors on the other way. I can't do start and end with this color because I won't have enough yarn, just because more yarn is taken in the middle. Hope that makes sense. What else can I tell you about this? I had to put a stitch marker for marking the front side. So this one is just my, I love this one, and it says find joy in the journey. I love that. That's a wonderful message. But I put a front or right side stitch marker on each end because it's the right side where you have to do increases. And if I don't put it on this one, sometimes I forget to do the increase, and then I have to go back and undo it and create a stitch because this border is all, I hope you can see it, but this border at the top, can you see that? Yeah, there you go. The border at the top, all the increases create a really nice pattern, and then it's an I-cord edge. It's really, really lovely. So yeah, that is kind of what I'm doing. I am doing magic knot. And you know, I'm not sold. I don't know how well that's going to work. I have tied them as tight as I can. And I'm worried that they're going to come undone. So down here, I actually started cutting the ends off, thinking, oh, okay, I'm doing magic knot. That'll be fine. And then I thought, you know what? What happens if they come undone when I'm blocking it? So I've stopped doing that. I'm hoping to goodness this doesn't come undone, because there's no yarn to play with if they come undone. You can see there's a little edge sticking up there where I cut it. And I'm now a little worried that some of those magic knots might come undone. So we'll have to see. Fingers crossed that I don't screw that up. Adventures and misadventures in knitting. So there you go. Okay, so that's that. That is my Habitation Throw, and it is living with all of that beautiful yarn in my Bags by Diane peacock bag. And that is, she's got an Etsy shop, but isn't that lovely? Beautiful peacock blues, very fitting for a tropical environment. They don't have peacocks here. Just letting you know. Oops, no, that has to go in last. Okay, so that is one whip. Whip number 2 is, yes, I am doing granny squares, trying to get it so that you can actually see the color. I'm doing granny squares, so I've completed 3. Those are nice for a mindless knit. So that is whip number 2. Whip number 3, where is whip number 3? Whip number 3 is in my tangled stitch. Hi Kelly. Hi Noelle, but this is the tangled stitch. And she is one half of the Knits and Pieces podcast and the live chat that I love participating in, which I can't do until March when I get home, because the live chat is on Tuesday nights. I think it's 4 o'clock Eastern time, 7 o'clock Vancouver. No. It's 7 o'clock Eastern time, 4 o'clock BC Vancouver time, 1 a.m. in Spain. So can't do that. But what I have made progress on in the last couple of days, oh my God, what a tangled mess. What a tangled mess. What have I done? Okay, hang on. These are my Cozy Knitter Advent socks that I started doing the first sock 100% continental, 100% continental. I never got any faster at it. I never got any better at it. Ooh, the light's coming in. Sorry, I'm getting really blown out by the sun. Let's just move ourselves. You're going to bubble around here for a second, people. Gentle, gentle. Trying. Oh, I'm still blown out. But anyway. And so this sock I just did regular. And you know what? My gauge is exactly the same. How does that work? So loving them. I'm just doing a 64 stitch sock. I just did a, oh, that reminds me. I started toe up, and it's a 3x1 rib in the front, nothing on the back. I'm going to do the Shadow Wrap heels on these in a Polka Dot Creek all natural, just their sock base. So that is turning out to be beautiful socks. I'm absolutely loving those, and those will be finished in the next couple of days, I have no doubt. So hopefully I'll have another finished object to show you the next time. But that did remind me, one thing I wanted to mention to you about the Into the Woods socks. The pattern will be released probably soon, I would think. It was a Patreon only pattern to start. Or maybe she keeps them for a year, I don't know. But Kay does a rounded toe, which I have to say, I really enjoyed doing. It was so easy. It was just, you know, every couple of rows, every 4 or 5 rows, it depends. You reduce a few stitches, you knit 2 together along the line, and it just creates this really nice rounded toe, and it fits beautifully. So I have a new toe skill, toe knitting, sock toe knitting skill, which I'm enjoying. But those are my 2 socks. And the last work in progress, I'm sort of going to show you, but not really, because I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a separate 15-minute video or a progress video of this particular knit along. So this is the Montreal to Paris knit along with Les Garçons and La Bien-Aimée. So Max, Vincent, and Amy. And, oh, do I have it? I don't even have it with me to show you. It's not in the bag. Okay, that's a clue that I'm not going to show it here. But I will go through, so clue 2 just landed on Friday. I am already behind. I'm only halfway through clue 1. Oh well. But it is a cowl, I'll give you that much. It's a cowl. And it's color work, stranded color work. So it's taking me a little longer to do it than I thought, but it's so far looking very beautiful. And so I want to go through bit by bit on a separate video for that. So this is that giveaway, and I'm going to actually go through everything I got on the mystery box, because it was a mystery box. I think I already showed it to you on my Vlogmas, but I'll redo that, show you the yarn close up, and then talk about the knitting progress. So that'll be a separate video. So those are all my whips thus far. That said, what's next, or what I'm looking forward to casting on in the next little while, I'm not going to do it right off the bat, obviously, because I got a lot of knitting. I still have Patrick's sweater. It's upstairs in the bedroom, waiting for me to start that again. But I did bring this beautiful yarn now. The color is not going to look right, but it is a beautiful blush pink. And this is Sassy Strings. I absolutely loved that advent. And I've shown some pictures of the full advents at the beginning of this video. But this is a yarn skein that I got, excuse me, early last year. And this is her DK, her basic DK, which is 75/25 in the color blush. Because I want to try a pair of DK socks. I will have enough of the Polka Dot Creek fingering sock, or sock weight, whatever, natural, to be able to double up for toes and heels. And I just thought that would make a really nice DK sock. And so I'm looking for a pattern. I don't want it to be vanilla, because this is such a beautiful yarn. I think it will show off a pattern very nicely. So that will be something that I'll be casting on in the next little while. So that is all my knitting stuff that I have to share with you today. Hello, I almost forgot. So before I sign off, let's talk about 2021. Wow, what a year. Un poco café con leche y pan tostado con marmelada de naranja. That is my breakfast. Okay, so talking about 2021, sorry guys, I wrote some notes because I didn't know what I wanted to say. I just started scribbling. But when I think back about last year and knitting, it was a fantastic year for knitting. And a lot of that had to do with COVID. We got kind of, you know, cloistered in your little home. And so what a great craft to have, to keep your sanity, to engage your creativity. It really allowed me to reach out to the community of knitters around me and to meet all of you. And I can't be more thankful or more grateful. I think this love of fiber and knitting, and just the community itself seems to want to share so much, that it's so open and so welcoming. And I just feel that every single time I podcast, every time I go to a yarn store, every time, you know, I get comments, the live chats, whatever it is such a wonderful community. And I'm so very thankful for that. In terms of my actual knitting, I'm going to give myself, if I had to grade myself, I'm going to grade myself probably a C or a C plus for actually achieving what I wanted to achieve. Because don't forget, at the beginning of 2021, I did a resolutions and said, you know, all these things that I was going to make, and I'll go through them. Oh my God, I laugh at myself. So what I will tell you, although I'm not going to talk about planning in 2022, I'm not doing resolutions, because here's what I resolved to do in 2021. Finish what I started. You know what? I'd give myself a pretty good grade there, because I did finish most of what I cast on. I didn't necessarily finish all my whips, but I did finish what I cast on, so that's not so bad. Learning something new, that was a resolution. I wanted to do a lot of learning, like I wanted to learn how to play my guitar. Didn't do that. Learn how to spin. I did that, drop spindle. I wanted to learn how to crochet. I did that. That's not so bad. Better video editing. Well, you know, not that great at that. And I wanted to learn how to steek. Didn't learn how to do that. But I learned other things. I learned how to do double knitting, although I haven't done it yet. So now I have to relearn it. But I did learn a lot. So I kind of would give myself a pretty good grade there in terms of how I, you know, against what I was hoping to achieve. I wanted to do more charitable knitting. Solid F. Solid fail, miserable fail. Selfish me didn't do any charitable knitting last year. Like, who am I? Like, that just, I'm a wee bit PO'd at myself. I was going to define my style. I was going to create this whole wardrobe. Well, no, that's going to carry on until 2022 for sure. And I'll talk more about that, but garment knitting is definitely a thing. Knit from my stash, I did that, but I also acquired a whole heck of a lot more yarn. So I was going to use patterns already in my queue, or that I'd already purchased on Ravelry. Nope, didn't do that either. And I was going to use my minis. Now it's twice now, two. So last Christmas and this Christmas, I asked you about patterns, what to do with my minis. I did not do anything with my minis last year. So this is, I'm already starting with the Habitation Throw, so I'm on a roll. So overall, not gonna say that I did great against my goals. I did a lot of great knitting. To actually be clear, I did 30 finished objects last year. I'm just blown away by that. Because, you know, sometimes you think about what you're knitting and you forget all the things that I just go, I didn't really knit them. Maybe I did 10 or 15 of them last year. I did 30. I had 9 pairs of socks, 7 sweaters, 6 shawls, and 6 miscellaneous items like decorations and stuffed animals. But what kills me is the socks, sweaters, and shawls, and I still have nothing to wear. So what does that mean? That means I must be not knitting the right things. I'm not too sure. I still have nothing to wear. Wow. And I was making a Make 9 list. I don't think I actually completed a Make 9 list last year. I started with, I did define that I wanted to make the Marl Mania leggings. That didn't happen. I wanted to knit the Deshane out of linen, which I still want to do, but I did not do that last year. So that's definitely going to be, oof, little fly, 2022. And I wanted to make the Comfort Throw because that pattern was gifted to me. And how bad am I? That should have been a priority. So I still want to do that. So I want to definitely make a couple of throws. But I'm not going to cover off my goals for 2022. I am going to say that I do have a word. Last year, my word, I don't think I actually I can't remember if I formally made a decision between intention and perspective. I think I went with perspective because of all the stuff that was going on out there. Just trying to keep your head above water and keep your feet, firmly planted in reality. I think last year was hugely important with all the shenanigans going on everywhere. Just trying to be grounded, trying to have perspective, trying to see all sides of things versus, you know, hearing one piece of news and immediately going, oh, that must be true. No, perspective. This year, my word is move. For a whole bunch of reasons. I gained weight over COVID, yes. So physically, I want to move more. Mentally, I want to move more. I want to stretch myself in different directions, through reading, through learning. I think it's consistent with my value for continuous learning, but I want to mentally move myself. I want to spiritually move myself. And I'm not talking religiously. I'm talking just about overall sense of being and sense of self. So I really want to move closer to me, get to know me a bit better. So I know that might sound a little bit airy-fairy, but it's for me. This is my word for me. So it is what it is. And I want to move creatively. I want to really think about what it is that I want to knit and crochet this year, and really make sure that it's feeding that creative side of me, but also is utilitarian, because it's quite evident I did 30 FOs last year, and aside from this, I think I must have given my mom most of my sweaters that I knit, and my socks I love, of course. Socks are great, but they're not an outfit. You know, it's kind of hard to plan a wardrobe around your socks. So that's kind of what I want to do for next year. And that's as far as I'm going to go. I am going to, in my next video, because I need to give it more thought. It's only the beginning of January, and I really need to give 2022 some more thought as to what I want to accomplish in my knitting. Some of the same stuff still applies. I still want to knit for my stash. I would like to catalog my stash. I've got yarn in bins that, you know, I don't even know what's, like, I do know what's there. It's not that I have that much that I just, you know, don't know what's there. I do know what's there. But when I'm trying to put projects together, I'd like to use more of it. So maybe it's as simple as going into my stash and picking out 5 fingering weight singles, like single skeins, and putting them together and saying, okay, that would make a nice shawl project. So let's find a pattern for that. And at the same time, looking at those skeins going, is that something that I would wear? Do I have anything to wear with that shawl that I want to make? For example, my Vertices United. Oh yeah, I guess I didn't actually tell you what I made. Did I write it down somewhere? Yes, I did. Okay, wait, maybe I will. I'll make it really quick. So socks, I made the Hermione socks, my lavender shorties, my pink and green striped Christmas socks, my Joy socks, which I highly recommend anybody who knows the Cozy Knitter. If that colorway comes out again, it's called Joy. It's a fabulous Stellina, Christmassy. For me, it was very Christmassy. I made my birthday socks out of Hello Stella yarn. That was that bright yellow and pink and bright colors. I made the curling mist socks from Helen Stewart. I made my reindeer socks, as you know, re-knit those whole things. And I did my 2020 Cozy Knitter Advent socks. I also knit my Polka Dot Creek Vintage Christmas stripy socks, and I made a pair of socks for Patrick. So that was, oh my God, I did 11 pairs of socks. I lied, 11 pairs of socks. For sweaters, I did the Turtle Dove 2, and I should talk about successes and fails. And remember, I made it with that drops air, and I wasn't happy with how that hung and the static electricity I was getting. So I'm gonna re-knit a Turtle Dove, but in different yarn. I did the Tiny Teal Handmaids Color Block Boxy as a test knit. I did the Carrie Tea as a test knit, the Brakui as a test knit. I finished the Zweig, gave that to my mom, did a love note in that beautiful green from La Bien-Aimée, and I did my ranunculus. So those were the sweaters that I did. Of all of those, the 2 that are wearable for me are the love note and the ranunculus. The Zweig I gave to my mom, The bakui, I have to redo the sleeves. Remember, that's that aqua colored one I did in Prince Edward Island. I have to redo the sleeves in a different needle size. The Carrie T is just a tank top. Actually, it's not even, doesn't have sleeves. And I like it, but I think it's a little small for me. And I made that out of Hedgehog Fibers Guppy, held double. And then the Color Block Boxy I made out of a whole bunch of scrappy, beautiful pinks and yellows and whatever. I like that one. I would knit it again in a better yarn. And the Turtle Dove, I would knit again, but no. So more fails than successes. So out of the 7, only 2 of them are wearable for me. So that's a learning. I did 6 shawls. I did the Tierra de Tejedores, so the Land of the Knitters shawl for our family friend, Annette. I did the Vertices Unite, which was my favorite knit of the year. I have to say this one and the Vertices Unite were my favorite knits of the year. I did the French Connection shawl. I did shawlography with West Knits. That was my most challenging knit, and I do love it. I did the Stay Cowl, which was a Christmas shawl from Tanis Gray, and I did the Hudson shawl for my mum in the Aquas and Creams, which was a Shannon Cook project. So I did 6 shawls. And then I made a Melissa hat for my brother-in-law, a Harbor hat, hot pink for me. I did some hearts for decoration. I did Emma the Bunny out of Carrie Lord's Menagerie, Edward's Menagerie. It's crochet. I made a ba bag, you know, one of those ba, you know, the sheep bags from Rhinebeck one year for my sister as her birthday gift. And I knit 1 hat for charity. 1. So that was kind of my knitting. And so I really want for this year, to really think I want to have some more maybe challenging projects. That's about moving my mind, moving my skills, moving my creativity. I would like to have more wearable projects. So something that I want to pull out of my closet and put on almost every day. So I'd like to have 5 or 6 of those type of items. And I know one of them is going to be the Felix cardigan. So simple, basic. Yeah, and I obviously need things, I just need more things that are wearable in different seasons. Because now I'm sitting here, this is the only thing that I have knit that I can actually say is for summer. I knit other things, but they just don't fit right, or the yarn's not right, or the color combination wasn't quite right. And I think that's part of knitting, is you just have to experiment that way. So this year I want to learn. I want to take from what I learned last year and implement it in my knitting in 2022. So more about that in the next video. So on that note, I will say thank you, everyone. Happy New Year again to all of you. I hope you're keeping well. I hope you're healthy, that you're moving as well, making sure your body and mind are moving. And I look forward to spending more time with you in the coming weeks. Thanks so much, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.